After you see your work comp doctor, do you think to yourself, my work comp doctor doesn't give a about me. He doesn't listen to anything that I have to say. And he only sees me for less than a minute, then leaves. I'm still in pain, but he's already released me. I wish there was a way to get a new doctor. If so, then you're not alone. So in this video, you'll learn how to change your doctor in a Florida workers' compensation case. How's it going? Domenic Celeste, the virtual accident attorney here, and I'm back with another video. For those that don't know, I represent people injured on the job in workers' compensation and due to the fault of another in personal injury all throughout Florida. Now, as usual, before we get started, I have to show you this disclaimer, so just hold tight. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. As you may already know, you don't get to pick your doctor in a Florida work comp case. Rather, the workers' compensation insurance carrier does. This means that most of these doctors that are selected to help you tend to actually help the insurance company instead. To find out why that is, watch the video linked in the card above, then come back to this video. So what happens if, or like when, this happens? Well, Florida Statute 440.13 sub 2F allows you to request a one-time change in treating physician, but there are some details that you should know before making this request. First, we'll go over how to make the request, then what to look for in the response, then the importance of this request. As to the request, the main requirement is that it must be in writing. If it isn't in writing, then technically it doesn't count. However, if you present to the doctor anyways, then you're considered to have acquiesced or agreed to the doctor despite the invalid request. I've had a couple of cases where my client, just before hiring me, spoke to the adjuster on the phone and asked for a new doctor, which the adjuster took as a request for a one-time change of physician. However, before the client presented to this new doctor, I requested a one-time change of physician in writing, which was ignored since the adjuster took the spoken conversation to be the request. Ultimately, the adjuster's argument failed and we got our choice, but more on that later. Also, the request has to be sent to work comp, and if there's an attorney, to the attorney too. How you send the request matters as well. If you send it by mail, what's known as the mailbox rule doesn't quite apply. The mailbox rule basically says that the date that the letter is sent is what counts. However, in reality, that would never work because work comp has 5 calendar days to respond, and most of the time, the mail takes longer than 5 days to reach its destination, especially if the work comp carrier is out of state. So the counter would start when they receive the mail, but there's no way to know when it's received unless you send it with a certified mail receipt. Getting your request to the carrier promptly is important to start the 5-day countdown. But with the mail, it's difficult to know when the mail will be delivered, which throws off the countdown. And faxing isn't much better either, even though you can get a confirmation that it's gone through. A problem that I've seen with faxing is that when there's an issue with the fax machine on the other end, like that there's an error or that the machine is offline, the best way that I've found is to email the request, as it's assumed that you've received the email when it's sent, and you don't even need to send it with a read receipt, although that could be helpful. And make sure to only send the request for the one-time change of physician without any other documentation like a request to produce or something, as judges in the appellate court have ruled against attorneys who've stuck in one-time change requests with other documents. For example, putting it in with a notice of appearance. Lastly, how you word the request is important, as some courts have ruled against attorneys who don't make the request clear. I clearly put on my request the statute number that I'm requesting a one-time change of physician from whoever the current doctor is to the new doctor, as well as the specialties of both doctors, the address and phone number of the new doctor, and then I'll file a claim within 5 calendar days of the request, which is the time frame that work comp has to respond to only requests for one-time changes in physician. As to the response, work comp has 5 calendar days to respond to your request, but just any old response won't cut it. There are some important requirements, just as there are some in your request, that work comp needs to consider in its response. But first, if work comp gets everything right, then they get to pick the one-time change of physician. If they don't, then you may have a very strong argument to get your choice in doctor. It used to be that work comp merely had to give a doctor's name within 5 days, and it didn't even matter if they had contacted them or got confirmation that they would see the injured worker. Over the years though, things have gotten a little more complicated than that. Firstly, the response must list an actual doctor's name and not just the doctor's office's name. This becomes more of an issue when you request a new primary care doctor, since it's usually just a clinic, and whatever doctor is on the schedule that day is the one that treats you. If you're requesting a new specialist though, work comp usually responds with the new specialist's name. Another requirement is that the new doctor cannot be professionally affiliated with the old doctor. This usually means that they can't be part of the same medical practice, but I can see it including being business partners too. The law also requires that the new doctor to be within the same specialty as the old doctor, but this has somewhat changed recently to mean that both doctors have to be able to treat the injured worker's conditions. For example, a spine surgeon and a neurosurgeon can both do spine surgery, so this change would work. However, a cardiologist who treats heart conditions to a spine surgeon wouldn't work. Lastly, there are a couple of other issues that haven't been fully fleshed out yet and could vary on a case-by-case basis. For example, the new doctor should be within a reasonable distance from the injured worker's residence, but what a reasonable distance is depends on the facts of the case. Case law is generally held though that within 50 miles is reasonable. Whether you get to choose a new doctor or not in this instance is debatable. There's also whether the amount of time to schedule the appointment of the new doctor could negate what would otherwise be a timely response, or if the doctor is being paid too much, or if the work comp attorney talks to the new doctor before the injured worker even goes, or if work comp just gives the doctor's name without doing anything else. And depending on the judge, any one of those situations could either have you pick the doctor or work comp. So what happens if work comp doesn't get it all right? Then you get your choice in treating physician. The importance of getting your choice in treating physician cannot be understated. Having a doctor on your side can change everything for the better. It's so important that I made a video exclusively about it. So if you want to learn about why getting your choice in physician is like hitting the work comp jackpot, click the link in the card above, and there you have it. Now you know how to change your doctor in a Florida workers' compensation case. If you or someone you know were injured on the job or due to the fault of another, you need to hire an attorney. Give me a call any time of the day or night. I have a 24/7, 365 receptionist, or better yet, you can just text me, 561-935-3822. But that's it for this video. If you got value out of it, or if you learned something, please hit that like and subscribe button. To learn more, watch my previous video here, or watch a video that I've chosen for you here. Again, I'm Domenic Celeste, the virtual accident attorney. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.